Hey, what's up, parents, teachers, maybe some students? Today, we're going to break down an email I got from a parent about their student who's going to be going into high school this fall who failed all of their classes, all classes. And I know what that's like because I have failed all of my classes multiple times. And the impact that had on me was pretty negative and it can be pretty destructive if we don't handle it correctly. And this is a really great example of how to look at something like this. So I'm not going to say who the parent was. We'll keep them anonymous, but this is the gist of the email that I received. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the email, read it to you. It's a very short email. And then I'm going to go through it and break down the important parts of it. And then I'll review these 5 key takeaways. So for you parents, you're definitely going to want to know these. Students, if you're watching this, these may be helpful to you, but teachers, this will really be helpful for you as well. So for all of you teachers out there, by the way, who are proactive and helpful and really understand neurodiverse kids or try to, thank you. We need you. We appreciate it. It matters so much. So here we go. Let's take a look at this. By the way, hello. My name is Seth with SethPerler.com. You can find me, get resources, freebies, sign up on my site, and please share my stuff if you like it. I also have a summit called ExecutiveFunctionSummit.com. Check it out. All right, let's dive into this. Here is what the email says. For the first time, my son failed all of his classes and had no clue because his portal showed passing grades until after they closed. And so now the school is finally willing to do an IEP. The grades 100% represent not turning in work and the work not being challenging enough. We had a great meeting. I mentioned her resources for ADHD and 2E kids, and the school was super open to me sending them your content. The teacher was on the team that advocated. The teacher that was on the team advocated for him, explaining how he's bored in the other classes and how he just needs to be challenged. So they are willing to get rid of all the busy work that does not enhance learning. That's awesome. Thanks to you, it was a good experience. Our conversation came at a perfect time. He's going to get the resources he needs before heading off to high school next year. Grateful for all your support you give parents like me. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and break this down so that you can get something from this and really apply it to help the kids you're trying to help. So first of all, for the first time, my son failed all of his classes. When the first time that happens to a kid, that can be really shocking, really disheartening, really discouraging, and really difficult. It can really impact their self-esteem, how they feel about themselves. And I know for me, I used to say I'm a lazy failure. That was my sort of inner critic talking to me. And that is not a cool place to be. But fortunately, he got good support here. But it feels pretty darn bad. So my son failed all of his classes. So let's start there and just acknowledge what that would feel like for a human being. Because sometimes we can get into, oh my gosh, I'm going to ground you or you're going to be punished or what are we going to do? And lectures and this and that. And really acknowledge this does not feel good. This is a human being. How can we really look at how to support them emotionally as well? So let's start right there. And then it says he had no clue because his portal showed passing grades until after they closed the grade. So in other words, the portal, everything looked fine. Okay, everything looked fine in the portal, but it was not. And that is not cool. And I'll talk about in one of the 5 keys, I'll break that down a little bit more in a moment. And so now the school is finally willing to do an IEP. Okay, so the kid doesn't know they're failing. The portal looks fine. The parent can look at the portal. Everything looks fine. And I know this has happened to many of you out there because I hear this story a lot. And the school, finally, things are bad enough that they're willing to do an IEP. And it drives me nuts that schools often, it's so difficult nowadays, at least in the United States, which is where I live, but I know a lot of you are in different countries, but there's a lot of resistance to giving kids the services they need in this particular country. So it's pretty that's pretty discouraging and disgusting if you ask me. So anyhow, they're finally willing to do an IEP. The grades represented not turning in work. So one of the things I often talk about is that when I'm teaching students and guiding them in how to advocate and how to analyze their grades and do a grade audit and stuff, I want them to really look at what are the reasons? What are the patterns is what I tell kids. We want to find the patterns. In this case, not turning in work, but the patterns can be that maybe they're not turning in work and they're acing all their tests. Maybe they're failing all their tests, but turning in all their work, whatever it is. If we look at the patterns in the grades, just a pro tip for y'all, if you look for the patterns, that will help you identify what to do to help that will actually imply how you can support executive function, because that's what this is all about. That's what my work is all about, is executive function. So what can they do in terms of that issue of not turning in work and not being challenged enough? So when we're talking about 2E kids, and we really want to look at, is the level of the difficulty of the work, is it a proper challenge for the kid? For some kids, we want it more challenging, and they'll actually do better with more challenging work. It can be counterintuitive for some people who don't understand this. But anyhow, we go on and it says, we had a great meeting. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to hear that, because most of the time teachers are really awesome and really there for the kids, and they want to do well by the kids. So it's good to hear that they had a great meeting. I mentioned your resources for ADHD and 2E, and they were super open to me sending your content. Now, they didn't just say open, but this parent said super open. So that's good to hear that because sometimes schools don't want to hear, they don't want to understand ADHD and 2E, and they don't want you to send them any content or anything like that. So this is good to know. The teacher that was on the team advocated for him, explaining how he's bored in other classes and he just needs to be challenged. So they're willing to get rid of all the busy work that does not enhance learning. First of all, pro tip again, the teacher advocated for him. This parent probably had already connected with the teacher, but they had someone who was a cheerleader for this kid. And anytime you go into these meetings, if you can proactively find out who are your cheerleaders, who's on your team, and connect with them before a meeting and sort of prep them so that they can really help you convey what needs to happen, that's a very good idea. So, but here's what's really cool. I always say, be the squeaky wheel to parents. You have to ask for what you want. If somebody calls you a helicopter parent, or you feel guilty asking for too much, or you're worried about it, ask for what you want and need for your kid. Check this out. They are willing to get rid of all the busy work that does not enhance learning. I love that. That does not enhance learning. Great. Sometimes they just need to understand and hear and have it presented in that way. For any of you taking notes, to use that verbiage, I really like it. Hey, can we get rid of the busy work that does not enhance learning? That's great. Thanks to you, it was a good experience. Our conversation came at a perfect time. He's going to get the resources he needs before heading off to high school next year. So because they're addressing this now, seeds are being planted for high school success and future success, because executive function skills are skills that we really build upon for a lifetime and that we need in adulthood. Grateful for all the support you have, parents like me. So I'm going to go over these 5 keys. First of all, key number 1, in my opinion, is to just ask the question, whether you're a parent or a teacher. We started off this email by saying, my kid failed all their classes. And the word fail, I don't like. It doesn't make sense in this context. And here's why. Schools use the word fail, and F means fail. I don't think that's right. I'm not a fan of grades. We'll go into that in another video. But key number 1 is to ask the question, parents and teachers, to ask the question, who failed who? Or whom? Who failed who? Like, did the kid fail the classes, or did the school and the supports fail to meet the kid's needs? So number 1 is to ask the right questions. Ask who failed who, and look at it honestly. Number 2, advocate proactively. Okay. Now, I often will help parents in my methodology and my courses and all that stuff. I will help them, and I'll help students do this as well, to write proactive emails before this ever happened, earlier in the semester. And one of the email things that I recommend in some of the templates that I share is to ask proactively, is your portal up to date? And how will I know if it's up to date? When do you post grades? Because some teachers are very on top of it, and some teachers don't post them until the end of the semester. And cases like this, it's a really bad outcome. So proactively email the teachers and say, are they up to date? When do you update them? How will I know? Things like that, so that you can get clarity. Number 3. So executive function skills. Number 3 is ask yourself, what executive function skills does this kid need, and what executive function systems do they need set up? Clearly, one of the problems was this kid not turning in homework. That has everything to do with executive function. So I'd be asking, well, if they're not turning in their work, what executive function systems are not in place in terms of planning, organization, this, that, and the other? So you can use my methods, you can use somebody else's. I don't care whose methods you use, but you want to be looking at, and I teach certain systems differently than other people, but you want to be looking at, are the systems in place? 4, be the squeaky wheel. So they had this teacher advocating in the meeting, and they got rid of the busy work that was not enhancing learning. So be the squeaky wheel, ask for what you need. Even if you get resistance, you have to keep asking for what you need, and figure out what works. And finally, 5, understand the value of being proactive. Okay, just understand the value of being proactive. What I mean by this is that you really, or for me, it's really important to understand that the more proactive, because I get so many parents that say, I wish we did this when our kid was in 3rd grade or in 5th grade. I wish we did this years ago. I wish we really, we saw red flags and we didn't do anything about it. We thought it would just work itself out. It doesn't. Okay, these are skill sets that are not being built. It doesn't magically appear. So understanding the value of being proactive and how it impacts someone's future. In this case, the email says he's going to get the resources he needs before heading off to high school next year. Because of being proactive now, the value of this is not just helping with this year, but it's going to make sure that the seeds have been planted so that in high school, it can really get off to a much better start, get more out of education, have a better quality of life, have less stress, less overwhelm, less wasting time, more freedom, more fun, more connection with family and friends, and all the good stuff. So anyhow, my name is Seth Perler, SethPerler.com. If you like what I'm doing, check out the site, sign up for updates if you want, and share my work around. But what do you think? In this situation, in this sort of email, can you relate to this? And what sort of thoughts can you offer us that might give us insights to help the kids that we care about? Do you have any insights to share? Go ahead and pop in the comments if you want. Take care. Give it a like and a thumbs up, all the things, whatever. Have a great day. I want to wish you peace in your heart. I want to wish you joy. And I want to wish you connection with the people you care about, particularly the kids in your life. Take care.